Anything surprising to you in the Boeing order numbers this morning?
No surprises. Deliveries were light as expected, given there's no MAX orders, none new, but also, as Phil mentioned, no cancellations for the MAX.
Do you think the MAX will come back online before the end of the year?
I think that's what we're waiting for. I don't know if early Q4 seems tight, given the certification package will be submitted to the FAA in early September. So it seems like a tight timeline to do that.
So I know the markets more broadly right now are rallying on the fact that some of these potential 10% tariffs on certain goods being imported from China are being pushed back. But in general, when you look at the trade tensions between the two countries right now, we've had a number of folks who have come on our air recently and said this could really get serious if you see a country like China start canceling Boeing aircraft orders. Is that a real threat? And if so, how big of a threat?
Sure. So I think the difference for aerospace is the rest of these short cycle cyclicals are going to see maybe declines in organic growth in the second half. For Boeing, you're not going to see that. It's all dependent on orders. And stepping away from the MAX for a second, China's really important for wide body orders, and we haven't seen one for quite some time. It's about 10% of Boeing's wide body deliveries.
How important is the defense business for Boeing? We don't always talk about it as much, right? But certainly when you see the impacts from all the commercial side, the commercial piece of Boeing's business and what's going on with MAX right now, it's about half of revenue in this last quarter. Is that really something that is keeping Boeing going, or should we look at it from the flip side, the fact that the commercial side of the business so far has been the thing that has kept defense going?
Sure. So I think defense is actually pretty stable. And we heard last week that the three major competitions that Boeing won in 2018 are going pretty well. TX, MQ-25, and a helicopter program. They're all in first flight or EMD engineering phases at the moment, and they're going quite well. Boeing recently bowed out of a competition called GBSD. It's a $60 billion defense program with Northrop as the only bidder at the moment.
On the MAX, Moelenberg has raised the prospect of having production cut, right? Where's the calculus on that right now, if orders keep up this pace?
So I think with a potential you could see a potential shutdown if this drags on longer. But what we've heard from suppliers, even a 2-week complete shutdown would have a 2-month potential impact on their numbers, given you might have to have layoffs in the workforce, et cetera. And there's 600 suppliers to keep in mind.
But is that seen as more likely than not at this point, or still smaller than 50-50?
I don't think a full shutdown is likely. I think you'll keep at that 42 per month, and we'll see what happens in 2020, whether you step up to 52 or 57 a month rate.
You like Boeing. You got a buy on it, $420 price target. But how do you articulate the worst case scenario here, and kind of what percentage likelihood are you putting on that?
So it's easy to get very negative. You crash them, you say the MAX is going to be grounded for another year or so. But what I'm thinking right now is at $350 or so, it's reflecting a 9% free cash flow yield, assuming like the MAX comes back in January 2020. So I still like it because I think there's upside to that. I think the MAX will get off the ground. What I'm looking for right now is wide body orders over the next 12 to 18 months to keep the 787 and 777 lines going at their current production rates, because that's fairly important as well.
Lastly, Sheila, we talk about industrials and these cyclical stocks as exposed to trade and the broader global economic slowdown we've been seeing, but defense names within the sector are seen largely as defensive. Are there names that you like right now? And is there reason to think that those names will continue to rally?
So I actually think defense is quite appealing relative to the market. They're trading at a 20% discount according to their history. My favorite names in the group are LHX. Management's capital deployment philosophy I'm a fan of. And I actually like the Raytheon UTX deal. I think Raytheon's under some pressure right now, given a big competition called the Patriot and the LTMDS. It's an Army-specific radar competition, so we're getting into the details there. But the stock has come under pressure, but I think big picture, I like the Raytheon UTX merger.